Hey, it's your pal Mike Shea from Slyflourish.com, here with another episode of Slyflourish's Lazy D&D Prep. This is a weekly show shot 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in which I go through steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master while preparing for my Sunday D&D game. In this case, I am running a homebrew Eberron game known as the Second Mourning. This show, like all of the work of Slyflourish, is brought to you by the patrons of Slyflourish. If you want to be a patron of Slyflourish, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Slyflourish and signing up. Patrons get access to a bunch of exclusive things, including a Discord server. They get access to a number of products. Let me show a few different things. They get access to a PDF called Slyflourish's Uncovered Secrets, which has one-page rule supplements on how to make your game easier. Right now we have zone-based combat, which was just added this last month, and running hordes, which I added originally. There will be a new one of these added every month. And Regnum Radis is a 10-page adventure for 1st through 5th level characters in which the adventurers visit an inn and find out that there's all kinds of crazy stuff going beneath the inn. This adventure is exclusive to patrons of Slyflourish. And lastly, we have Slyflourish's Adventure Generators. These are one-page adventure inspiration guides. The intent is to give you guides of random tables that help you sort of build adventures. So this is a very simple one for having picking a job at a location to find an item or a monument with various conditions. This is a very general one, but we have one for like 7 samurai. Who are the villagers? What's the village? These are all kind of built around a particular theme. Arena of Fate is if you're battling in an arena. Heart of Darkness is more like your Apocalypse Now style, hunting out a traitor in a hostile land. And then the one I just added this month is Jaws, hunting a powerful beast. So these are all built around a particular adventure theme. And then you can sort of fill in the blanks of the theme by picking from the various lists with the intent of inspiring your own adventures. So I don't expect that people run these directly as is. My hope is that these help inspire people to generate their own adventures. So these are all things that you can get by being a patron of Slyflourish. By going over to patreon.com/Slyflourish. So now we are going to talk about my Eberron game. So I am running. Let's talk about where people are. So the goal of the campaign is for them to stop the Second Mourning. And there are numerous groups that are seeking the weapon that can create the Second Mourning. In my own version of Eberron. So what caused the mourning is a mystery that remains mysterious in all of the books. All of us get to decide, and I have decided to decide at least what could cause it again, and probably what sort of caused it to begin with. And it's really sort of 3 things that caused it. One, a very powerful crystal. A dragon shard, a very powerful, very large dragon shard caused it, and can cause it again. And that can either be an Eberron crystal, a Kyber crystal, or a Sybaris crystal. I think the original one was probably a Sybaris crystal, and that there's an Eberron and a Kyber crystal left. And the Eberron crystal was originally held by Leto Skal. In this game, the crystal was destroyed, so now there's only a Kyber crystal, but Leto's former bosses, the daughters of Sora Kal, have a Kyber crystal that is equally powerful, and they are going to bring it to it. You need a big crystal. You need very powerful magic that's a combination of magic from the Dreamscape Dalcor, mixed with magic from Kol Sir, the dragon lords or the giants of Zendrak, and the dragons of Arganessen. So dragon magic, giant magic, nightmare magic mixed together can create magical spells powerful enough to generate a weapon that big. And the third thing you need is a place to do it. And that place is an area in the Mournland known as Claw Rift, which I haven't figured out exactly what that is or why you need it yet. I keep a lot of blanks open in my game to try to see where things are going to go. But I know that it needs to happen at a particular location called Claw Rift. So if somebody has the capabilities to do so, and they have 3 things, a giant dragon shard, a book of powerful magic, and they are at Claw Rift, they could theoretically create a new weapon. And the characters know this, and they are trying to stop it from happening. So Yeah, so somebody brought up, for me, it's weaponized overload crystal turned ICBM that manufactured with sabotage. Yeah, so I think if you go with, like, if you think about the themes of Eberron, there is this definite, like, World War I, World War II style feeling to it, right? Like, it sits well between World War I and World War II, kind of. Although it has, like, elements of World War II are in it. So one of the things about World War I is that once World War I was over, no one wanted to ever have another war again. So many people were killed. 5 million, I think it was 5 million Germans were wounded or were killed or wounded to the point. Maybe I'm getting the numbers wrong, but it was millions and millions on both the Allied and the Axis sides that were either killed or so badly wounded that they could not function in society. They couldn't work. They couldn't help society, which meant that the economy was just destroyed. And the, what was the name? The Treaty of Versailles, which ended the war, also put Germany at a massive disadvantage. And it meant that economically Germany was getting destroyed, which made it absolutely ripe for fascism and ripe for Hitler, right? And that's what happened over the whatever it was, the 20 years between the end of World War II, end of World War I and the beginning of World War II created this environment. And that fact that no one wanted to have any war again is why Nazi Germany was able to grow to such extremes. And there was, like, articles at the time of, like, talk about, like, what do they call it? Having the wrong take at the wrong time. Lots of people inside Britain were like, we're not going to war again. Like, we screwed them with the Treaty of Versailles and it sucks. And yeah, now they're building up a war or building up an army, but they kind of deserve that, right? Because we totally hosed them. And we're not going back to war because, like, we still remember how terrible the last war was, right? And meanwhile, Churchill's like, it's coming anyway, right? Churchill was kind of the, total deaths of World War I, 15 to 22 million. Yeah. And I think there was 5 million British that were either killed or wounded. Now, of course, 15 to 22 million was, I think, 10% of those who died in World War II. So boy, it got a lot worse. And I think I have that right. It was like, I think it was like, maybe it's not quite 10 times worse, but it was 5 times worse. Certainly 5 times worse. Because I think it was 50 million people that died in World War II. World War II is just incredibly destructive. 30 million Russians or something like that. I'm bringing, we're talking about World War II history, World War I and World War II history, because it sets as a backdrop to what's going on in Eberron. So there's a reason why we're talking about it. And so one of the worst ones that people brought up, that there was an article written in the United States about a guy, and he's like, well, Hitler's really bringing Germany to a better place. He's drawing them up out of it. This is written in like 37 to 38, right before Hitler started invading everything. And he said, like, yeah, Hitler's really, bringing people back and really being patriotic, bringing a pride back to Germany that they really needed. And he's doing so and building up a military, and that's really strong. And he goes, it's unfortunate that he hates Jews so much, particularly because I'm a Jew. It was like, whoo, did you make a bad take at the wrong time, right? And so, like, yeah, it was really tough. The last war was 100 years. There was no way they sustained World War I level casualties for 100 years. The population of Eberron is insanely small anyway. Yeah, true, but it's still, like, it's not the number of people killed. Although, wow, the number of people killed in Sire is huge, right? I mean, it's a whole continent that was destroyed. So it's not World War II numbers, but it's big. So my point is that there are elements of both World War I and World War II that sit inside of Eberron. I'm sure that Keith Baker had this in mind when he was building this adventure. And I'm sure that these were themes that were reinforced by Wizards of the Coast when they were working with Keith on building Eberron into Eberron. And some of that is there's lots of spies. There's if you think about what happened to Sire, it looks like a nuclear bomb, right? It looks like a really, really big nuclear bomb, which is sort of tail end of World War II. But there's also this big drive, like the Treaty of Thronehold is very similar to the Treaty of Versailles in that it screws some groups considerably. The Dargoon, I believe, got screwed. I can't remember if the Treaty of Thronehold actually allowed the Dargoon. I use the World War I analogy when I run Eberron in terms of the fatigue, yes, and World War II in the terms of intrigue in the Cold War. Absolutely, that's exactly what's going on. And the Droam, for example, were not ratified in the Treaty of Thronehold, so they are a nation that is illegal according to all of the other nations. And that is actually a big drive in my own game about like why the Droam and why the daughters of Sorakal are interested in the weapon. And there is this sort of like playing into the nuclear arms race of like, if I can get the bomb, i.e. if I can get the weapon of mourning, there's numerous nations that are working together that say, if I can get the weapon of mourning, I can become a ratified state because no one will want to go against me if I've got the bomb, right? And, I think that that's a powerful motivator for the game. And then it creates this thing of like, you have all these different political factions that are at play that are all like, look, we don't want the bomb because we saw what it did to Sire. And then you have all these other groups that are like trying to get it for different reasons. And so that's all kind of culminated into the current campaign. So in my current campaign, the characters they went to the city of Arldusk and left the city and headed out northeast to a place called Angwar Keep. And Angwar Keep sits on the western side of the river that separates Thrain from the Mournland. And they know that on the other side of the river is a city known as Eston. And that in Eston, they believe, is a way to find Clawrift, which is inside the city of Making, which has now become known as the Glass Plateau because of what happened there after Mournland. So the characters' motivators right now, they're actually following the trail of an agent of a villain that they've been dealing with for a long time named Leto Skal. They know that this agent was in Arldusk, then left to go to Angwar Keep, disappeared in Angwar Keep, but brought a powerful artifact with them, a thing known as a docent, a powerful Warforged artifact, and disappeared when they went to Angwar Keep. And they were this agent named Imperai de Falarn, a spy of the Aurum. The Aurum is like they're like a crazy secret society, not so secret society. And Merrick 90 says, I mean, the daughters aren't wrong. That would probably be the only thing to get them respect and recognition for the other nations. Exactly right. They're not wrong. If they get it, they will be able to do that. And maybe they'll never use it, right? But and everything is fine. But if there's the threat that they have it, Aurum equals Freemasons. I don't want to say it because I end up on some kind of list. So I've got my father's blood in me, and I worry about the Illuminati all the time. So so the Aurum sent an agent to go find them. So they know that this woman, Imperai de Falarn, knows where, or is working to try to find Making in the Glass Plateau. And that, that can work. They know that they went to Angwar Keep. So the party went to Angwar Keep, and what they found at Angwar Keep was a bunch of pacifist warforged known as the Followers of the Becoming God. And the followers are a group of warforged that have thrown down their weapons and become farmers, and they build a farmers market for the local farmers, and they were given this keep by Thrain as part of the Treaty of Thronehold and part of the alliances. Thrain said, we embrace our warforged brothers and sisters, and we are going to give them this keep. So they gave this group the keep. The keep spends their time working on building up the keep, farming. What else do they do? And then they spend their evenings when they would normally be sleeping. They instead meditate upon the creation of a new god that is their own, believing that they can do so. And that is known as the Becoming God. So the characters met with them. They were very suspicious of these guys. They said, like, we're going to get jumped. Like they fully expected that they were going to get jumped by these guys at some point. That there's no way pacifist warforged. These warforged are bad news. So they were very suspicious. And the warforged are like, nope, we don't have any weapons. They met a huge pacifist warforged titan named Clasp that is a poet now. And it speaks these like 1-line and 2-line poems or 2 or 3-line poems every so often, but it doesn't talk otherwise. And it's very feared by the local villagers because it's this great big hulking war machine. But the great big hulking war machine, it totally has given up its ways. Given up its warforged ways, its war ways. So characters are still very suspicious. And then one of the characters was invited, is a warforged, and Banner, and he was invited to join them to meditate upon the becoming God. And he could kind of feel like, wow, there is something here. We're touching on a spark of the divine. We're lighting the spark of the divine. They said, you can come and join us anytime you want. All we ask is that you accept our message of peace. You accept our philosophy of peace and put your weapons aside. And he says, well, I'm not ready to do that yet. They say, that's fine. Come to us when you are, and we'll be here. And I think that's kind of where the session ended. So, they know that in the bottom of Angwar Keep is a huge, like 20-foot wide hatch that opens up into a tunnel that goes deep, deep, deep underground, underneath the river. And there's these big like rungs that lead down into the deeps. And that's where Imperai and her mercenaries went. So they know that Imperai went to Angwar Keep, went down there, and then they haven't been seen since. And what the Warforged say is this: we don't advertise the fact that this is here. We don't keep it a secret, and anybody can use it if they want to use it. But these tunnels were used to connect Thrain and Sire through Eston and Angwar Keep. So this leads to Eston. And it's the only safe way to get to Eston, because trying to travel across the Mournland any other way is very, very risky. And they said, okay, so we started. That was where the game started. So let's get my game notes ready here. So I use Notion to do my game prep. I will Notion. If you have any questions about how Notion works, I have videos on the topic, and you will see some of how I use it now. But if you want more details, there's a link in the show notes. There's also a link in the chat. And yeah, sorry, I'm not going to show you my dice. My dice are upstairs. So we have session planning template. We take this and we duplicate it. And we drag it to the top. And we create a new chart. And today is 4 October 2020, Sunday, Eberron. So here we have in this Notion template the 8 steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. They're all listed here, and you'll see that I tend to jump around. I can actually go to the bottom and I can pull out these guys because that's my oh, yikes. No, don't do that. I'm going to delete this. That is the notes for my Wednesday group. And so we will start with, let's see, I'm going to bring it. I always need to have a couple copies of this up and running because we're going to look at the characters. So who are the characters in today's game? We have Zarantir Delander. Zarantir is a member of House Delander. He stole his father's airship and crashed it twice. And he has a cousin who lives in Arldusk. He is a half-elf storm-marked storm sorcerer and loves him some overpowered lightning bolts. Saber is a shifter monk bounty hunter and, kind of explorer. We have, sorry, that's Saber, right? Shift is one of the first Warforged ever built in a combination of House Kenneth and the nation of Karnath. And has her brother's personality embedded in her head as well. So she has her own personality and her brother's personality. Her brother was a Warforged named Crash who served the Emerald Claw and was defeated. But now his personality is inside her head. The player has been out for a few weeks while she was moving, but I think she's coming back today. So I think we're going to see Shift again. And I'm very happy to see Shift come back. Banner is a Warforged follower of the Becoming God, former member of I think he was a member of the Lord of Blades for a little while, left them because of their violent ways, now is kind of seeking to find himself. And I think, he was very suspicious and didn't believe in the pacifist ways of the Warforged, but now is kind of seeing what's going on there. Shane Husk is a best-selling schlocky novelist who wrote about the Last War, Hobgoblin Wizard. And Arwen Cheese Sizu is a member of House Civis, Dragonmark member of House Civis, who carries a icosahedron in her hand, or carries an icosahedron around that is apparently the key to finding Claw Rift. So those are the characters in today's game. So I have now reviewed the characters. So strong start. I was thinking about this earlier, which I guess kind of counts as, the question is thinking prep time? I don't think so. I think we think about our games all the time, and I think we dream about our games, and we do all kinds of stuff. So, So I think prep is when you're actually sitting down and doing stuff. But in the meantime, I was thinking about like, what would be a strong start? So sometimes I don't have one and sometimes I do. This time I think I have an idea for a strong start. And it's the scene from Witness. So if you recall the movie Witness with Harrison Ford, old movie about where Harrison Ford plays a cop who is helping an Amish family deal with the fact that a young son has seen a murder that was committed by cops. And so Harrison Ford has to go and stay with the Amish to protect the kid. And there's a great big shootout at the end. But one of the interesting things is like the Amish are peaceful people. They don't believe in violence. And they go to town one time and a bunch of like yokels at the town are giving him a bunch of grief. And Harrison Ford is dressed like an Amish guy and he just cannot. He's this hard-boiled New York cop. And this guy's like wiping ice cream on his nose. And Harrison Ford is just staring at him. And the look on his face is one of like, how can you be so rude? Yeah, Evil John says 1985 or old movie. Yeah, it's a classic movie. It's really classic. I think it was colorized by Turner Network Television. I kid. So Harrison Ford is standing there. I don't remember. Booker's his name. And he's like, Booker's like staring at this guy. And he's just like, how can you be this rude to these people, right? How, and he's wiping the nose. And finally he just beats the crap out of it. He breaks his nose and beats the crap. And they're like, oh my God. And, he just can't help himself. And the Amish are appalled. They're like, you were with us and you broke our vows. And he's like, I'm not Amish. He goes, you were with us. You were they're not going to know the difference. And now think how far you set them back. So I kind of want to set up a powder keg like that. What did I read? I was reading a excellent book by Wolfgang Bauer for Kobol Press called Kobol's Guide to Campaign Building. Highly recommend it. Kobol Guide to Campaign. Do not get it off the Trove. I hate them so much. Kobol Guide to World Building. This book right here. You can pick it up, get the PDF for $10. You can get the PDF and the physical version for $20. I ordered the physical version. I hope to have it here soon. And you look at the list of people: Keith Baker, Wolfgang Bauer, Dave Cook, Monty Cook, Jeff Grubb, Chris Promise, all these people that are like, they've been, it's available as an audiobook. No kidding. I'm getting it in Audible. Oh, cow. Great book. And I was reading the first essay by Wolfgang Bauer about building campaigns. And he said like something like, I got to look it up because I don't want to screw it up. So give me a moment here while I go, look things up on my computer, which just makes for awesome time. Documents, other RPGs. Let's go with date modify. Kobol Guide to World Building. Ooh. I'm not going to show the book because I don't have permission to show it on screen. But yeah, great subheader. Background and dynamite, right? Was the name of his subheader, right? And it's like you set up some background and then you set up some dynamite and you watch what happens. You hand, I think I closed it. I'm an idiot. Background and dynamite. And I think the final line in it was, the goal is not an encyclopedic world building approach. The goal of good campaign, mark this down. The goal of good campaign setting design is to stack as many boxes of dynamite as possible and then gingerly hand the whole ensemble to GMs so they may cackle with glee at all of the tools, hooks, conflicts, dangers, and purely delightful mayhem, which you might have so thoughtfully provided them. I would switch that a little bit and say, instead of handing the ensemble to GMs, that our job as GMs is to stack up the dynamite, build a world, fill it with dynamite, and hand the matches over to the characters and watch them blow things up. It just fills me with excitement to even say that. Like, I love that idea. So what's the dynamite we're going to set up here? Which is, I think, a bunch of village yokels, drunken yokels, right? Of course. Come to Angor Keep and cause mayhem among the farms. Right? And the characters are going to, let's see, we'll hyperlink this. Hey, that was fast. That seemed a little faster. And there are going to be a bunch of bandits, right? But they're really just yokels. They're local jerks. And they're going to come and they're going to like set in and be like, get out of here, you tractors, right? You're a bunch of stupid machines and you don't have souls and we think you're dumb and, everything else like that. And the characters and the followers, I think the lead follower is going to go out there and speak to them and is like, if you want anything, we can get you it, whatever you want. And they're going to like beat him up with a shovel, right? And he's going to take it. And how far will the characters go before they'll do something? And I think like the other members of the bandits are going to say like, you have to understand, he would rather them beat him to death with a shovel than raise a hand, than any of us raising a hand against them. Right. And keep that in mind. And it will be a fun way to see, like, that's the dynamite, right? The dynamite is, can they watch this nice, peaceful Warforged guy get beat up by a bunch of yokels without getting involved? And if they get involved, can they do so and not ruin the reputation of the Warforged among the local farms, right? That is it's a powerful scene. It's a little scary, right? That is a scary scene to put in front of people because it's pretty serious, right? It's a serious scene and it's going to test people and it's going to test the players as much as the characters, right? But I think I'm going to do it because I think it's going to be interesting. And it's a strong starter, right? It's a thing that's going to occur. Now, I fully expect my characters are going to find ways to deal with the thing, stop the event from happening, not hurt the people, and maybe even, make it better. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they go out there and start beating the crap out of them, right? Like Booker, they'll have to explain it. And the Warforged will be like, you set us, you beat up those yokels. You set us back. And God help them if any of them die. Right? Then they're in real trouble. And it's in theory, the characters a lot of things could happen in this situation. And I don't know what's going to happen, right? It's possible that the character is going to die. It's possible that the characters kill the yokels and now the Warforged are in serious trouble. A lot of things could happen here. So it's going to be really interesting. And I'm very curious to see how it goes. So, Drunken Yokels is the first scene. Down the shaft. Traversing. These are the scenes, right? So what are the scenes? Drunken Yokels is scene 1. Scene 2 is down the shaft. They head down the shaft. Scene 3 is traveling through the under tunnels. So this group this group has already spent a fair bit of time in Kyber. Kyber being the under, let me just get my last scene because I already have some. So another dirty trick is both of my groups, I'm running basically the same campaign for 2 groups, right? And both of my groups have now come to roughly the same spot in the campaign. The campaign is narrowed down. There's still lots of choices, but the general flow is going to be the same. And my Wednesday group is now 2 sessions ahead of my Sunday group, 1 to 2 sessions ahead, which means I already kind of know where things are going to go. So we're going to see. So traveling through the undertunnels, then there is the Warforged Charnel Pit, and then Eston. So the good news is because my other group has already done this, prep for today's game is actually significantly easier because I got a lot of stuff already. So I've got a pretty good idea. Again, I'm lucky because I've already run a lot of this stuff, but there is some thoughts about the undertunnels and what I want to do with the undertunnels. So what are some secrets and clues? Some of this stuff I think they already know. Imperi. The search is getting a lot faster when you're looking up links. I always have to check my texts because sometimes I get text that says, "Hey, your show is totally screwed up." Imperi de Falarn took a bunch of mercenaries through the undertunnels to Eston. Man, the search is way faster today. That's awesome. Imperi I don't know if I have to hyperlink it every stupid time. Was captured by the Black Tusk. Emperor Idiflaron was captured by Black Tusk Warforged and taken to the lair of the Black Tusk. What's the lair of the Black Tusk, you might ask? It's actually a fantastic lair that I want to playtest. So I've been trying to squeeze in a playtest of this fantastic lair for some time, and I'm hoping to get there. What other secrets? There are many factions in Eston, including the Greys, the Black Tusks, Children of the God Drums, and numerous, the Lord of Blades, followers of the Lord of Blades, and many ragtag groups of salvagers, scavengers. So lots of groups operating in there, but it's a bad city. Powerful magic in Eston. I'm addicted to like the linking, so I do it all the time. Powerful magic in Eston has been released, causing living spells to run rampant. Karshak is treated as a god in Eston, particularly by the children. Particularly by the children of the God Drums, who make sacrifices to them every evening when the God Drums play. Karshak resides in a sealed, in a huge sealed sarcophagus known as Karshak's, I don't think I have a link for it, Karshak's Creche. What other things? Is there anything they could learn down below? So I'm just hammering through secrets, and most of these are all secrets about Eston and what's going on there. The Warforged of the Black Tusks saw what Imperi carried and wanted to give it, and brought it and her to their leader, Black Tusk. So you imagine? Many mutated Warforged roam the streets of Eston. Some like to believe they were mutated by the Mourning, but most recognize that House Kenneth built these near the end of the war. Built these abominations. They really are. They're terrible. They're terrible creations. Ooh, I've got a good one. Shift was built in Eston at Skyfall Tower and Crash. Shift and Lord Crash were built in Eston at Skyfall Tower. I need an NPC. We're going to have to make an NPC for this. And my final secret. This is great and all, but where are the nukes hidden? Underneath the city. It depends on which nukes we're talking about. But if you recall, so Dirty Secrets, I am stealing so much of this from Stephen King's book, The Wastelands, the third book of the Dark Tower series. And thinking back, man, I love those books. I just finished reading them all again. It took me a year to listen to all the audiobooks again. And I don't know, I might do it again, but I might skip the last two. And boy, they're great. You know, thinking back on them again, and Wastelands in particular is such a great book. And it has this city called Lud, and Lud is run by the Pubes and the Greys, who are these warring tribes, and they hear the God drums play. I'm stealing all this, the God drums. I'm even stealing the song, which is Velcro Fly by ZZ Top. If you want to hear what the God drums sound like, go Google, go to YouTube and look up Velcro Fly by ZZ Top, and that's what the God drums sound like. I ran it from my other group, and they're like, "What the hell?" And they're like, they freaked out. I said, like, go play this track, and that's what you hear. And they're like, we got to run. Like, we expected this like low methodical drum, and instead it's this like rapid drum. They're like, and it's driving the city insane. So, but part of what happens in Lud is when Karshak leaves, when our heroes get on, not Karshak, but when they get on Blaine, and they leave Lud, he blows up Lud. He fills it with poison gas and kills everybody in the city. And I would not leave it past Karshak to do exactly the same thing. Like, this is my last run, you know, and he's going to blow up the city. So I think that's a good secret. And the secret will be many powerful weapons of war still exist in caches beneath the streets of Eston. LARP Strong Carter. Wait, how did I not know the great amazing Slyflour? No, I'm not great amazing. Has a Twitch. I knew there was a void in my life. That void is now fulfilled. Yes, every Sunday. You probably didn't know because I run it at one of the worst possible times, which is Sunday mornings at 10. 10? Sunday mornings at 10? That sounds right. Which means it's like 7 a.m. Pacific. Like, it's not a good time for basically anybody. But yeah, but you can watch all, if you like it and you like the episodes, then you can go to the YouTube channel and you can see them all there. I think there's like 100 of them. You know, how many, I've got a lot of these now. Playlists. 140 of them. So if you want to watch 140 hours of Mike Shea preparing for his game, do I have the playlist for you? And it's right there. So if you just want to watch the Eberron one only has 27 of them. They're also available in podcast form, yes. So yeah, anyway, back to the game. Many powerful weapons of war still exist in caches beneath the streets of Eston. I think that is a good one. So I've got my secrets and clues. I've got a strong start. I've got some cool scenes. What I don't have is any secrets and clues that are tied to the tunnels beneath. I'm going to say that Emperai lost half of her mercenaries getting through the undertunnels. So that's a problem. So fantastic locations. We have Angwar Keep. We have the Undertunnels. And we have Eston. Those are really big, fantastic locations. So you may notice, if careful followers might notice that in Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, did I close it? I must have closed it. Yeah. In Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, when I talk about fantastic locations, I usually have like the scenes and backdrops that exist for any given scene. And lately, if you watch, I watched the videos for the cats. There was a cat there earlier today. Lately, you'll see that I link to location pages that I have in Notion that have numerous places in them. So I'm kind of cheating on the locations, but part of that is the way that Notion works is really nice. So when I say Angwar Keep is a fantastic location, I link it. I already have this like whole page with pictures of Angwar Keep and descriptions of it and maps, which you might notice are all stolen. I actually, little known secret, I commissioned Jared Blando to make Angwar Keep maps for me just for this adventure. That's a lie. I stole Castle Neritar from Hoard of the Dragon Queen. So I'll create these like location pages, and you can see like I've had this location going on since September, early September, 6-9. Yeah, both my groups have been dealing with it. And it's linked to the Undertunnels. Undertunnels, I also stole, the maps. They're big. I have big maps in here. I stole this map from Dyson. I didn't steal it. It's available for free on his website and given. And here's a trick that I did. Let's open this up. Man, slow. One of the things I did is I have started just quickly annotating the map with areas that I think might be interesting for them to explore. I don't even know if I'm going to use this though, because I don't think I want them to spend I don't want them to spend more than a session. I want them to make it across the thing. So I have all of these like places that they can explore. But I don't think, I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time in these places. I mostly want them to kind of get through this whole place and then make it across. But if I wanted to do like a hex crawl, an underground hex crawl thing, this was the map I was going to use for it. And all I did was I opened up the Dyson map. I opened it up in preview on a Mac, and then preview you can annotate with just text and then put a white box around it. And that way you can read it easily. And you can do the same thing in Paint, I'm pretty sure. I think you can do the same kind of annotation in Paint. There's other tools you can use to like quickly annotate a map. You want whatever tool you can use to quickly annotate a map, and then just drop names on there that are inspiring. And use that to improvise. That's lately what I've been doing. So I have this, but I don't think I'm really going to use this whole thing. So we're kind of going to go back and think about that a bit, because I do want it to go quickly. Let's go back to my notes. Backlinking is so awesome, man. Backlinking is a new feature. I don't know if you saw that. New feature in Notion they added is this idea of like, these are all the pages that link to this page, right? So every set of notes that I've got that ever linked back to Angwar Keep is linked here, but also Arldusk is linked here and Undertunnels are linked here. So I can click back and forth between those two. Apparently there's more. But that makes it very easy for me to kind of go, okay, I'll go back to today's notes. Same thing. If I go to Undertunnels, you can see which sets of notes are there. Now, what's interesting is that Angwar Keep is not listed in Undertunnels. No, they are, because this one says that the Undertunnels are here, I think, somewhere. Doesn't it? Whatever. So that's how I've been doing locations recently. And that works pretty well. So NPCs. So I have an NPC. Let's go over here. Let's go to my NPCs. Stevius Jackstone, owner and proprietor of the. So Longspear. No, Longspear is somebody else. There's Clasp. There's cousin Kellard. Glaive was his name. So Glaive is an important character. Leader, of the followers of the becoming god. He's an important NPC. Then we of course we have Emperai, Karshak. So I don't have to do a lot of work for NPCs. I'm pretty good. I review them. Sure, I did that. Monsters. So now we want to think about, so who do we have? We have bandits. We have the yokels. So what's down in the under tunnels? Phase spiders would be pretty great. Dolgrim and Dolgons. I like the idea of maybe mind flayers. Warforged werewolves. What else? Thank you, Evil John. Any other things down here? So I don't, I think that's pretty good. And any treasure, it's probably a good time since I got some time. Let's go back to the characters. And let's just take a look at how they're doing on magic items. Zarin what does Zarentir have? I think he's the one that made his, does he show a character? Oh, he does show a character. Okay. Let's take a look at his equipment. He has a wand of magic missiles. He could probably use, he's got his focus and orb of shielding. Those are both minor items. He could probably use something else. Saber's fine. He just got stuff. Does Shift? What does she have? Sending some. So Shift is in need of stuff. Shift may get the docent for all I know. But I think a Rod of the Pack Keeper would be really good. So we're going to throw a Rod of the Pack Keeper in the notes. I'll tell you, so an interesting observation I have is given the way that character power grows, the idea of needing to use like the +2 and +3 weapons doesn't come up much. Like a Rod of the Pack Keeper is so good even at +1 that the idea of giving a +2 Rod of the Pack Keeper, her attack bonus is already crazy high, right? Compared to like the AC of the monsters they face. I don't know about other people, but I'm finding that I generally give, she's got a +8 already. She'll be +9 and then even higher as she goes up. So the idea that she needs a +10 to hit with a Rod of the Pack Keeper, like it seems like the +1 weapons are perfectly fine. Like there's a big jump between having no magic item and having a +1 magic item that isn't increased when you go from +1 to +2. So the idea of like having a +2 or +3 longsword, it's kind of lame. Like, now, Vorpal swords are great, and ones that have those plus bonuses are really great. But I don't see a lot of need in giving away generic +2 and +3 items. Not that a Rod of the Pack Keeper. So, I generally think that like +1 items are good enough across, almost 3 tiers of play. And then Evil John says a +1 magic weapon blows up all the resistances on most mobs. Yeah, and people tend to focus so much energy on getting their core stats up that giving them those extra couple of points, it's just going to make them a little bit more overpowered, right? It's a weird thing I've noticed. Like I don't tend to give away magic items that are of the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 variety. Sometimes I'll give away like a really big one. I gave a flame tongue longsword to characters when they were like 6, And boy, he's eating. The monk has it. And boy, the monk is eating stuff alive with that thing. So it's really powerful, but it's a +0, right? It just does 2d6 fire damage, and that's where the power is. So I think we're going to throw a Rod of the Pack Keeper in there. And that's probably good for now. Zarentir, I'd like to get something for Zarentir. His AC is already 18. What is he wearing? Oh, he's carrying a shield, I guess. He wears a breastplate. Did he take a feat? Oh, because he's a second level cleric, so he's got high AC. Multi-classing. Armor's a different story. +2 plate or chain can really make it hard. Yeah, I mean, it means like, yeah, that can be a big deal. So if he likes breastplates, some kind of magical breastplate wouldn't be bad. Yeah, people love to boost their AC. I think they figured out that boosting AC is a real big deal. But not when you're facing mind flayers. So I don't really have any others. And so let's go to my random tables. Other random generators. Let's look at Eberron Relics. Old Fingerbone of Zoriat that casts Wall of Stone. That sounds awesome. Let's grab that and throw that in there. Burn Flute of Valara, the Crawling Queen that casts Bigby's Hand. That's not bad. I like that. And we'll throw another relic. Pulsing Bone of Sorlona that casts Vicious Mockery. Hasmadani. Glyphed Forked Rod of the Draconic Prophecy. Pulsing Idol of Kolsir that casts Ensnaring Strike. Let's hit reload on this. Grimy Opal of the Shadow Marches that casts Elemental Weapon. That's not bad. Carved Spike of the Spirits of the Past that casts Elemental Weapon. I kind of like that. We'll take that. So what the hell are these? Eberron Relics. Eberron Relics is I've been making a lot of random generators, and if you are a patron of Slyflourish at patreon.com/Slyflourish, you can see these random generators. I link to them there, and they're also linked in the Discord chat for patrons for these, and I have all kinds of them that I've been generating that are really kind of cool, including an adventure generator. Charlotte, a foul-mouthed dwarf, wants the characters to hunt down a loving tiefling acolyte named Rakios, protected by veterans at the Hallowed Vault. And then I have Eberron versions of those too. Eberron location, Eberron encounters, all kinds of stuff there. I thought I had an Eberron Adventures. Abelard, a love-struck orc of House Vidalis, wants the characters to clear out black puddings at the buried fortress of the Cult of the Dragon Below. That's pretty cool. Clear out those black puddings out of the old fortress of the Cult of the Dragon Below. I love random generators. Those are built, by the way. This is something I really love. Perchance. Perchance is a Perchance is a random generator where you can create very simple random generators. So you say test, and we will say orc. Let's see. So output, and we say monsters. Why does it have errors? Shouldn't have that anymore. Whoops. Oh, well. Anyway, it's a great way to make random generators. Trust me. You can make really, really cool. Did I spell it wrong? Is that why it was output? Did that do it? Let's get rid of meta. I don't think that works. Normally that works. Well, let me show one. So I will show view your generators. We will go to my Slyflour adventure generator. This is a really complicated one because I put a whole lot of stuff in it. But you have title, random generator, output, a bunch of stuff, mission objectives, relic types, locations, adversaries, random monsters. I have a whole ton of different conditions that you can apply to either items or places, like bloody and floating and abyssal. I have locations. These are a whole bunch of locations, 30-ish, it looks like, 76 to 106. That's like 30 of different main locations. I have races. You can put weighting on them. So humans are more likely, 3 times more likely than a normal one. Elves are twice as more likely. Dwarves are twice as more likely. Personality types, a bunch of personalities. NPC types, cult factions for cults. Humanoids, so you could say like goblins, but goblins show up by themselves twice as often as they show up with bugbears or hobgoblins, right? So that's kind of neat. So you can put like an or statement in there. Cultists of the cult factions, monster conditions, so you can have fiery stuff. It's really, really cool. Relics, so you can generate relics in here too. Spells, if you want some certain spells. And then I have random monsters by challenge rating in here so that I could actually generate it. And then I have a huge random name table, 400 to 1,500. How many is that? Is that 1,000 random names? I don't know. I have a lot of random names in here. Lots and lots and lots of random names. I don't remember where I got them all. But boy, I've got a huge list of random names. And when you run it, you get this guy. Emily, a surly human, wants the characters to rescue a foul-mouthed tiefling named Josiah, imprisoned by minotaurs at an astral catacombs. Catacomb should be that. Whoops. That should be catacomb. Where do I have catacombs? Don't make a plural. Whoops. Colosseum. Somewhere in here's a catacomb. Catacombs. There. Perfect. Yeah, really powerful tool. Perchance.org is the site, and I highly recommend it. It's very, very cool. Go there, check it out. So do I have everything I need? I got my treasure. I've got monsters. I've got NPCs. I've got fantastic locations. I've got more than 10 secrets and clues. I got a bunch of scenes. I got a strong start. How do I feel? I feel pretty good. I guess there's one last thing I'd like to work on with the 3 minutes, and that's like what location, how do I want to handle it when they go down into the undercellars? Do I want to have them kind of crawl through it and then just sort of have an encounter? I think I might. I could almost generate like a random list. Like, let's see. If I go to the undertunnels and I've got these location names, I kind of want to use this. Like they're making their way through. Each of these is probably a few hundred feet, right? And they see these Dakani arches and the insect mounds. They can kind of travel in different directions. There's thin groves. So then, like, if we have like a quick encounters in here, and we'll make a list. So I like mind flayers. There's definitely some I don't know why it went to that. Dolgrim and Dolgaunts. Intellect Devourers. Phase Spiders. We want to have some non-combat things. So I want to have the mercenaries, like so some of Imperai's mercenaries survived, and they might be down there. Goblin Explorers. Are they Dakani or are they Dargoon? What about like a ghost of a gatekeeper ghost? That'd be a cool one. Insect mounds, mutated. insects that, oh, what about cranial rats? Cranial rats are awesome, right? We love those. Way more encounters than I'm going to use. But you can see, like, it's just kind of getting your mind working, right? More so than I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to roll on this necessarily, but I might pick it, and you can kind of choose as you go. Let's just have one more though for funsies, and then I'll pontificate for a moment about the power of coming up with lists of 10 things. Anything else? Oh, beholder. Why not have a beholder? So one of the things that I find hugely powerful these days is coming up with lists of 10 things. And you can use it when you're doing your prep, like right now. And there's something about coming up with a list of 10 things. 10 is, and it follows the same philosophies of secrets and clues. That one of the reasons why it's 10 secrets and clues is because usually coming up with 3 or 4 is really easy. The next 3 or 4 aren't real hard. And then those last 3 are a pain in the ass. And yet those are the ones where really cool things come up. That's where your mind is working. And there's something about coming up with a list of things where you sort of flush out the easy stuff by hammering out 7. And then later on you get up cranial rats. Boom, right? So there's something powerful about it. And I was thinking about it for building a city. I actually did it for building out Eston. Just make sure that's saved. Go back here. Then we'll go to Eston. And when I was coming with Eston, the city of Eston, I came up with this map, and I just started like writing down places, right? The Dungeon of the Children, like the idea that there's a prison that the children have now converted into their own homes, right? Theater of the Greys, like it's almost like the theater in Australia that sits out over the water, and that's why it's been protected for so long. Skyfall Tower, the last standing tower of the House Canneth here. The actual ruins of House Canneth are here, right? Filled with crazy ass stuff. The yard is where they start off. Like, they actually pop out of the yard. The factory is nearby where they actually made Warforged, tons and tons of Warforged. So this is kind of like New Orleans during World War II, right? Like this is where weapons of war got made here. Lair of the Black Tusks. So the idea of like pulling up a map and coming up with like 10 locations. I think they have 10. Yeah, I've got 10 locations on this map. And it's just like, all I need is a couple words, right? I don't need to fill them all out. I don't have paragraphs of stuff. I just have a couple of words, right? And it's just enough, like the tombs. I know what that means. I know what's there, right? And I could probably use a better word than just the tombs, like the crawling tombs or the floating tombs, right? The floating tombs sound better, like the idea of a bunch of crypts that are sort of floating in earth modes. That's cool, right? So, the factory, needs an adjective. I don't know what. But the idea of coming up with lists of 10 things, what are 10 interesting NPCs? What are 10 secrets and clues? What are 10 fantastic locations? Like, you don't need 10 all the time, but boy, it's handy. It's a good way to kind of shake your brain up, and it's fixed and focused, and it gets you moving. Like, you're not just allowed to like think about one and think about it forever and write 7 paragraphs about it. You gotta like, nope, I need 10. Bang, 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 bang. And I've actually really enjoyed making those random lists on Perchance that way, and the random generators you saw that are on the Patreon. These guys, not that guy, although, yeah, Regneratus has them, right? At the end of Regneratus. So we have a bunch of adventures, a bunch of places you can crawl to. But then there's like hey, let's extend Regneratus out. Let's have different encounters and different locations that you can have. Very cool. I'm happy with it. Same thing. Like, coming up with these lists was really fun and thought-provoking. And you can come up with lists of 10 things to get your mind going. And then you can roll on lists of 10 things in order to get your mind going. So that's kind of the hope. So there's a real power in that sort of list of 10, and probably deserves an article and maybe a video just on that. Anyway, I feel good. I feel like my game is set. I want to thank everybody. We had a long stream for those hanging around, hour and 47 minutes for everybody that hung around the whole time. Hour and 4 minutes for the video itself. I want to thank everybody for coming. Always a special thanks to Evil John for managing the channel and taking care of things, keeping things clean there. And I want to thank everybody for coming. Have a great day. Have a great week. And hopefully you have a chance to go play some D&D. See you later.